Yeah, well, I was quite surprised, you know, learning from council committees that actually the population of Mosman had gone down, and of course then through my own sort of things I realised that a lot of the boarding houses and the low rental places have disappeared, and a lot of houses which are massive are really occupied by sort of small families which are maybe even down to 2 persons, such as ours. I mean, we live in a 2-storey house, and fortunately we rattle around in it, but it's a good thing because you don't get in one another's hair. But I know there is a push on from the state government that to consolidate and improve the density, and I understand that Mosman, we haven't reached that criteria yet. Places like North Sydney, which are much more compact and congested, I understand have. So this can only make things matters worse in Mosman. The traffic will get worse, and tempers will fray accordingly with that. I've commented before that you know, it's particularly shown with Balmoral Beach. I used to live right on the Esplanade, just facing the Balmoral Pavilion, and I could just park anywhere I liked, and you know, walk in and walk out, and even at weekends it wasn't overstrained. There used to be a few Italian families come down there, but it wasn't treated as a holiday spot as it is now. I'm quite astounded. I mean, sometimes I have gone down there to driven along the Esplanade around about 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's as busy as anything. The only shops there were little shops selling sandwiches. Was a post office we had down there, and most of the shops used to sell hot water because people used to brew up their own tea, and that was the way it was. People were much more frugal then, and they did much more things for themselves. I think in our street I'm probably the only person who still mows his own lawn in Nature Strip. You have the dog wash people coming round, and I shudder to think what next services we might get. The streets in the morning at 7 o'clock are clogged up with tradesmen's vans. So that's the way Mosman's got over the years. When we first came to Mosman, we were the blow-ins. A lot of the people, the original people who built their houses were there, and they were, quite a few were veterans from the First World War. Our next door neighbour was a major who decorated man. I think he went in as a corporal, and he was promoted in the field and given a commission, and you know, actually he's mentioned in C.F. Bean's history of the First World War. And this Mr. Evers carried on, and when did actually Mr. Evers die? In about 78, about 77, 78. And that was one of the last links, you know, he was one of the last to go from the first people. Of course, all around in Warburg Street, where the houses were built around about 1920, 26. After, it was all originally a quarry around there because all the sandstone for the local big houses, and probably for Sydney as well, were quarried. We are very fortunate. We live right on the edge of one of these old quarries, which gives us a very elevated position, and we look right over to Northbridge Golf Course and harbour views. So that's how Mosman has changed, and as I've said before, we now treat Mosman as a village. We don't have to go so far afield. Most of our shopping can be done here, Mosman and Neutral Bay, and I think as you get older you don't feel like you want to move around so much. And also we find that our interests lie within Mosman. As I've previously said, both myself and Breda are very involved in the local community, with the community services, and with this gallery that we're sitting in now. And we were been with this gallery since its inception 10 years ago, and we help preparation for the food of the opening nights, and we enjoy, you know, it's actually, you get a psychic benefit from being a sort of a local identity. We were very lucky. In 2001, Breda and myself were made jointly Citizens of the Year, so we feel we're part of Mosman. And it's funny that I was, you know, born in England, but MOSPLAN is the place I've lived most of my life, even though I didn't, come here till I was 26. Well, to retain the village atmosphere of MOSPLAN, I think it's a matter of the facilities that are provided for the people. Unfortunately, I'm in Rotary, in other organisations, and it's very, very hard to get young people interested to involve themselves, because quite rightly, making a living and keeping it bread on the table is not easy these days. So, and the other thing as well is that MOSPLAN itself does not present much in the way of employment opportunities, and so most people have to go into the city or work elsewhere or travel elsewhere. And these days, the hours are much longer, and when the time they get home, they're not. That's it. They've done their dash. They want to sit down and take it easy. But I think all these facilities have always been there. It's just a matter of making people aware of them and to use them. Now, one of the things with this art gallery is it's been here, but there's a tremendous amount of people that, if you talk to them, oh, we've got an art gallery, we don't even know it's there. One of my initiatives was I got this short street changed to Art Gallery Way, because we wanted to get the awareness for the gallery. But people like that, and they're so preoccupied with themselves. They have to be, that they don't avail themselves of the facilities. But they've always been there. I mean, just round the corner from us, there's a MOSPLAN tennis club, and it's well over 100 years old now. Now, that has always been a very, very social sort of enterprise, but they're finding it hard to get members. One time, if you wanted to go along there, you'd have to be graded and be a very, very good player before they'd take you in. Now, they still want you to be, capable, but what you have to do is gone down. So all social things change, and of course, with these, everybody's got home theatres and all these things, and the thing is not to move.
Life has changed.
And